What's up, BookTube? Mia here at Select Pages, coming at you today with my best reads of 2018. Stay tuned. Okay, everybody, so 2018 was a pretty good reading year, and I gotta say, contemporary killed it for me this year. Like, never have I liked so many contemporary books in one year. I am super confused by it. Usually I'm a fantasy girl, but contemporary, very I just read better contemporary books this year. So enough chit-chatting, let's jump right into the list. First book coming in for the best books of 2018 was Illuminated by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. And when I say that book was so good, oh my gosh, I love that book. And it was a book that I considered DNFing at one time. And I'm thinking it's because I just wasn't in the mood to read it at that time. And I decided to pick it back up and try it again. And like I said, I'm so glad that I did. If you don't know what Illuminated is about, I don't know where you've been. But it's something that I can't even explain. It's basically about these kids on a ship because their planet has been destroyed by like this big corporation that's like trying to like hide everything and just like destroy everything in their past, and everybody's aboard on these ships with this artificial intelligence running the ship, and it's like all types of crap is happening. But the best part of this book is that it's written in like emails and text messages and secret files and stuff like that. It's not your typical, 12-point font book. Which was totally cool, and it's like such a quick read. They're thick ass books, but it was just action. I love the characters. It was just great. I loved it. And there are tons of reviews on this book also, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. I'm pretty sure I got a review about it somewhere on here that I will link in the description down below if you're interested in more thoughts about that. Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. Of course, this is going to be on the best book list because it was a good book. Despite the controversy that's going on with her now, you gotta admit the book was really good. If you liked Avatar, The Last Airbender series, then you will love this book because there's a lot of references to that show within this book. But basically, this book follows a girl named Zeely who is trying to bring magic back to her world. There's different caste systems, and it's based on West African culture, which is something totally different that we do not see in a fantasy genre of writing. So yeah, definitely, you guys, pick this book up, read it. It's awesome. It's great. Next book come out within the next month or two, I think, and I cannot wait to get my hands on that one. Cruel Prince, surprisingly, by Holly Black. Now, this is one of those books that after I read it, I had to stew on it for like a month or so before I realized, like, do I really like this book or no? And once I thought about it, watched some reviews, yes, I actually did like this book. The only thing that I didn't like, of course, was like the whole torture thing between Jude and Caden. Is that his name? I wasn't feeling that, and I'm like, please don't fall in love with this fool, because like, I don't understand the dynamic between that. But otherwise, I love the world. I love the themes in this book. I loved that Jude, even though she like hates fairies, she still wanted to like be the best of them. Like, it's just like a really good book. And I think it's one of those books that you kind of have to read between the lines. You can't just like zone out on it and just turn your brain off for a good read. Like, this book is really good. I can't wait to read The Wicked King because I'm hearing nothing but good things about it too. So yeah, definitely can't wait for that one. Next book, Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. I adored this book. I didn't think I was going to like it at all. I love Simon. He's like one of my favorite characters of all time. I love the whole Simon universe. The only thing about these books was I just wish that the side characters had a little bit more input into the story. But other than that, I think it was like so relatable for kids today, and it's like one of those books that I wish that I had also growing up too. I need to loosen up, I'm so stiff. But yeah, definitely love that book, and it pretty much follows a kid named Simon who is sending emails to this other kid who's supposed, well, he is gay, another kid who's gay, but they don't want to come out yet because, hello, sometimes it's not as easy to do that. And it's basically him trying to find out who Blue is. Blue is the guy he sent the emails to. He's trying to find out who he is. There's leaving clues and stuff, and it's just such a cute story. It's cute and it's relatable. That's like the best way that I can sum it up. It's cute and relatable. Next book on the list is Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. I love this book so much more than Scythe. I gotta tell you, it goes more into the world, which I really enjoyed, about the gleaning and the Scythedom, and the other guy who was trying to like become like the head psych and was like killing gleaning everybody all over the place. It definitely goes more into Rowan and Citra's characters also, which I gotta say I like them more in this book than I did in the first one, because they was like lousy in the first book. But this one here, they really grew up a little bit, and we, like I said, we just get to know them more, and and we get to know the other sides a little bit more also. And that ending, okay, I'm really ready for the third book to come out, which I have no idea when it does, but when it does, I will be ready, because I need to know what happens to my babies. And the other character, or I cannot remember nobody's names because I didn't look up the books before I pressed record on this video, but the third character that was in this book, who was like working with the Thunderhead itself, which is like, come on, basically like an amped up Cloud. It knows everything, it's everywhere. It's just so good. Read it. It's really, really, really good. Next book on the list is The Poet X by Elizabeth Avicedio. I'm butchering names, but anyway, this one follows a girl. Guess what? I don't remember her name. But it follows this girl who's from a very strict, I think it's Catholic, religious background, where like she just can't do nothing. But she's like she's a teenager. She's in high school, and there's things that she wants to do that her parents does not approve of. One of them being a part of a poetry slam. I'm not going to go too much into this book because it's going to be the book read for Blackathon, so everybody's going to be reading it pretty soon, but it is very, very, very good. I love the poetry. It is written in verse, which made for a very quick read. And once again, it was one of those books that I was kind of put off on it because I was like, well, I don't think I'm going to be able to get into it, but it reads like a regular novel. Like, you can picture everything, you can follow along with the story, and you're like rooting for her the whole time, and I cannot remember her name, but just read a book too. That one was very good. Also, like I said, it's going to be the group read for Blackathon, so if you're participating in that, then you're good. Next book was probably one of my favorites of 2018, and that is Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. When I say I love this book, I love this book. It was my first read from this author, and she is now one of my favorite authors. Just want to read one book. Yes. Come here. This book follows a murder of sorts in a little small town, and everybody's trying to figure out what happened, and it's following the lives of 3 separate women. So if you ever watch like Desperate Housewives, it's sort of like that. I love the characters. I loved each and every one of their distinctive storylines and how everything always ties in at the end with her books. I just love it, love it, love it, love it. And while we're already talking about Big Little Lies, another one of her books was on my list anyway, and that was What Alice Forgot, which was another really good book. This book, ironically, follows a girl named Alice who hits her head one day and can't remember the last, it was either like 3 months or 3 years of her life, something like that. She lost a big chunk of her life, and when she woke up, she found out that she was divorced, and her kids was all bratty. She had this really bad relationship with her sister. I mean, like, everything was just wrong. When she had, like, the perfect life, and then, like, everything just kind of turned topsy-turvy, and she's trying to tell everybody that I don't remember what happened, and they're all like, when you get your memory back, you'll remember, and you're going to wish that you would have stayed enemies with your ex-husband, and she didn't even know, like, she was, like, freaking divorced. It was so good. It was such a dynamic between what you think is good and valuing what you have in life and not taking shit for granted versus, you know, what happens if you lose it every day. One day. It's really, really good. I just can't explain how much I want you guys to read it. Both of those books was both very, very high on my best books list. We Are Okay by Nina LaCour, which was like another really like deep emotional book where basically it follows this girl in she's in college, but she like moved away from her hometown, just like spur of the moment. She just like moves. Something happens and we don't know what happens. And her best friend is coming to visit her after like months or a year or so that they haven't seen each other. Her best friend's coming to visit to find out what the hell happened. Like, what happened to our relationship? Why did you move? Yada, yada, yada. And I think the book takes place like over like the course of like a weekend. If not a weekend, it's definitely like a day and a half. And they're in the dorm room and they go out to lunch, they're back in the dorm room, and it's just like such a gripping story that even the fact that they're not changing settings still kept me invested because I wanted to know too. And it wasn't just like that whole like, I shouldn't tell you, no, I don't want to tell you, oh no, no, no. It was just like a simply like, I love you so much, but I just can't reveal this yet, and I'm not comfortable about it yet. And which was also amazing, you know, I love this, is featured a female-female relationship. So definitely love that. Guys gotta read it. She has another book coming out this year, I think, that's really captured my attention too. And I think, don't quote me, but I think it's dealing with suicide, which I know a lot of books don't touch upon. So I would definitely like to give that a read to see how that, you know, is done. Save the Day by Morgan Manson. This book was so freaking cute. My only gripe with it was a bit long. It started to run a bit long. But the antics of just everything that could possibly go wrong before a wedding or during the wedding planning. Oh, I love like little books and, you know, shows like that because it's fun. It's just a nice fun read. And basically that's what the story was about. It's about this girl named Charlie whose sister was getting married, and like I said, everything was going wrong. Everything that you could possibly think of was going wrong, on top of family issues, on top of Charlie trying to come to grips with, like, I think she was like the baby of the family. She had like 4 or 5 other brothers and sisters or so, and yeah, it was like just like a very cute story. Like I said, it did run a little long for me. Like it could have been cut down 100 pages, but I still think it was very, very cute. I haven't read anything else by her. I do have, what is it? If I can see, The Unexpected Everything, which I know a lot of people like too. I just haven't read it yet, so we will see if I will get to it in 2019. Next book on the list is God's Grave by J. Kristoff. I love Nevernight. I love this one, and I know I'm going to love Dark Dawn when it comes out, hopefully this year. What more can I say about it? This book has been all over BookTube too, and it follows a girl named Mia. And she's just trying to get revenge on her family. And she went to an assassin school, and now she's like not part of the assassins anymore, and she's like off doing like her own thing, and she's trying to it's a very gripping story. Like, I read it earlier this year. I think I read it back to back with Nevernight, so I don't want to say stuff that's in Nevernight and it's, you know, or vice versa, that was in God's Grave and I'm thinking it was in Nevernight or whatever, because I know a lot of people still haven't read this series also. But definitely give it a read. It is very slow. I gotta say, the beginnings are very, very slow, and I know a lot of people say, well, I don't want to push through a book if I gotta go through the slowness. It's like, no, push through it. It will pick up, trust me, because I was the same way. I DNF'd that book like 3 times before I just finally say, you know what, let me just read it, because everybody's raving about it. Glad that I did. Next book on the list is The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jin Wang, which is a little graphic novel that I absolutely loved. It was so cute. It's about this girl who was making dresses for the prince, but guess what? The prince doesn't want nobody to know that he wears dresses. And it's a little cute lovesy story, and I just, oh, it was so cute. I like the artwork was just like so cute, for lack of a better word, easy to follow. You can sat and just read it in one sitting, and it was just a nice story. You guys should read it. It is very, very nice. Next book on the Vish was Vicious by V.E. Schwab. What can I say about Vicious? That book was everything. I loved the characters, loved everything about that book. Vicious followed 2 guys named Victor and Eli. Was it Victor? I think it was Victor. Victor and Eli, who becomes, what is it called? EO's Extraordinaries. So they have like these powers or whatever because they had like near-death experiences. They're like scientists or whatever. But then something happens and Victor gets sent to prison, and Eli, like, he wants to like change the world and starts killing other EOs, and Victor gets out of prison and wants to revenge this and another world-ruling stuff. But it's very, very good. I think this is one of her best books, and I have a love-hate relationship with V.E. Schwab because I either like her writing or I don't. That one I definitely read. Haven't heard not too many good things about Vengeful, so I'm thinking I might not even read that one. But this one definitely was a favorite of mine this year. Okay, so about to wind down the video here. We're about to come to my top 3 books of 2018, and everything else was kind of like all in the same genre, but these were my top 3. So coming in at number 3 is going to be Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. And the only reason why that book is number 3 is because out of everything that I read this year, this book had the most believable characters in it. They were a bunch of teenagers who, once again, this is like their last year of high school. They get ready to go off to college, and they're taking like their last test, and they're like applying for colleges and stuff. And they seem like real friggin' teenagers. They talked like real friggin' teenagers, and they had real teenager issues and fears about, I really want to go to the school, but what if I don't get in? I really like this boy, but I don't know if he likes me, and I haven't been telling him all this time because he has a girlfriend or whatever. But basically, this book also follows a girl named Frances, I want to say her name was. This is coming from somebody who said this is her favorite book, right? And she is in love with this podcast called Radio Silence, but what she does not know is the creator of Radio Silence is actually a neighbor of hers who she talks to on a regular, and he asks her to help collab with her on the podcast, and they become friends, and then something happens, and it kind of tests their relationships. One of those type of stories, but it is so dramatic, and it's just so, like I said, teenage angst filled, but it was like, I guess being at the age that I am now, which is not really that old, but I'm only 33, but being at the age that I am now, I can go back to my high school years in that same time frame and time period and understand what it is that these kids are going through. And it goes through a whole different other issues within their home dynamics, outside of school, and it's just a very well written story for me. I love that there was only like maybe one part in the book that I didn't really get, but definitely a favorite of mine for 2018. Number 2 on this list is going to be Heretics Anonymous by Katie Henry, which is about a boy named Michael who is an atheist, and he is going to a Catholic school. What more can I say? This book was so freaking funny. This book was so freaking relatable. Once again, I love the characters. Everything just felt real. It didn't feel like it was force. The whole dynamic between Michael like fighting against this system, against his own beliefs, really feels like shit that you go through in your own life, no matter what religion you're a part of. When you're immersed in another religion, really liked it. And the fact that the only reason why he was at the school was because his dad had got a job in another city and he wanted him to go to a good school, and so they sent him to a private school that just happens to be Catholic. So that was pretty cool. And just like his relationship with his father, the anger that he had with him, the dynamic that he had with him and his friends. And if you're wondering, they make him join a club called Heretics Anonymous because the people that was in that club didn't believe in a higher power or anything. They just had different beliefs, but they're in a Catholic school. Like I said, I'm doing a horrible job of explaining this, so you guys got to read this book. I seen it floating around. I heard 1 or 2 people talking about it, and I was like, oh, let me go ahead and give this a read because it was like on that Kindle like $1.99 sale, so I went ahead and downloaded it. And as soon as I got to like the 2nd or 3rd chapter, I was so in love with the book that I went out and bought a physical copy. That's how much I love this book. I kid you not. Okay, so the moment we all been waiting for, my number 1 favorite read of 2018 is going to be Queens of Geeks by Jen Wilde. And I got to explain why this is my favorite book of the year. It got me through a very hard time. It was one of those books where, like I said, you could just kind of like turn off the brain and just get lost in the story. And what a cute story it was. Queens of Geeks follows 3 best friends. For the love of God, I cannot remember their names. I remember one, Taylor and Jamie, and I can't remember the other girl's name. But anyway, follows 3 friends, and they're pretty much at SuperCon, which is like the equivalent of Comic-Con. And the girl who I can't remember her name is like a YouTube superstar. So she's been invited, and then she brings her best friends along. Taylor is like this like cosplay queen, like she can cosplay the hell out of this character, and Jamie is the boy best friend who is in love with Taylor, even though they don't know it yet, and he's there to like kind of like root and push her along. That's it. And it's just about friendship. This book main dynamic is about the friendship, because you would think that with the other chick being like a YouTube star and stuff, that she'll be all like snobby and, oh, I don't have time for you guys, whatever. But she would drop whatever it is that she's doing to hang out with them, even though she has like press conferences and she's starring in a movie and all this and that and stuff, but she's still there with her friends, and vice versa. Even though they're trying to figure out what their relationship is, there's something that happens that they had to be there for her, and they like, boom, we gotta put this on hold, we gotta be there for her. I freaking love this book. I love the relationships in this book, even though I'm not the one for like, oh, I like you too, like, really. But I loved it in this book. I read this book in one sitting, and like I just sat and read and read and read, and it was over, and I was sad because it was over, and I wanted more. But yeah, it was definitely a great read. And like I said, it just got me through a very hard time. Like a lot of stuff was happening during that period, and I wasn't invested in any like thick fantasy books at the time, and that book just came right on time, just like the other two. So that's it. That is my best books of 2018. That was a good year. That was a good reading year. So if you made it to the end of the video, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye, loves. Bye, loves.